So we were talking about S3. What is S3?
Bucket, it's a container.
S3.
Oh, sorry. Like we can store things. It acts like a Google Drive.
Yeah, it's a storage service. S3 is a storage service wherein we can upload our files, our folders into it, and that can be accessed over internet. So that's what S3 is. And where do we store our data, folders, or files? By creating a bucket into it. The bucket is nothing but a container in which we can upload our files and folders. So that's what we have seen, creating a bucket, and we have also seen the properties. We just discussed about the properties of the bucket. So let's see the other parameters one by one. So permissions, that's what we have seen. By default, as I discussed yesterday, by default, whenever we create a bucket, it's private. Always it's private, and we ourselves have to make it public.
Sir,
Yeah.
did you share your screen, sir?
Pardon? Yeah, I'm sharing my screen. Aren't you able to see my screen?
I can't able to see, sir.
What about the others? You should.
Okay, I'm reloading the page. Maybe you can see. Yeah, I can see, sir.
Fine.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
permissions, like, see, as I said, the S3 storage is for storing objects, the files, and folders, and those are can be connected over internet, I said. So when you wanted to connect over internet, you should have permissions to access the data, and in order to provide the permissions, we have to go to the properties of that respective bucket, and in the properties, the first parameter permissions, in that we just go add permissions here. So that's what we have seen yesterday, providing permissions. Okay, the permissions, I have provided the permission to everybody, so it is public now. Anybody can access my this bucket. Okay, and what they can do, they can list the objects, what and all are there in that bucket, and they can also upload or delete the objects into that bucket. So that is what we have seen yesterday. And then the other tabs, next is static web hosting. So when it is static web hosting, which is nothing but, okay, when you wanted to provide the access to people, or some data wherein you wanted your people to access it, rather you create a website, taking a server, create a website and upload everything into that so that people access that. You can also keep your files here in this bucket and make that like a website, so that whenever the request comes to the data access, it will directly reach this bucket. That's what is static web hosting. So you see here, you can host your static website entirely on an Amazon S3. Once you enable your bucket for static website hosting, all your content is accessible to web browsers via the Amazon S3 website endpoint for your bucket. So you no need to create any separate website to access your data for that. Only in case your data to be accessed by people out there. And how is that? You see, the endpoint will be the combination of your bucket name, S3 hyphen, the region in which it is created, website AB Southeast 2, and then Amazon AWS.com. So this is what the end point. And each bucket, you see it's mentioning each bucket serves a website namespace, that is www.example.com, request for your host name. So this is again, it's like a website name provided to that, like a DNS name. Give me a second. So that's all about static web hosting. It's nothing but whenever you wanted to create a website and upload all your data, you need not to go for a server, but you can also do that from your S3 buckets. And you can enable web hosting, redirect all the requests to another host name. So all that objects we have, things we can do here. Then logging, which is nothing but logging is nothing but whatever the data you upload into this S3 bucket, who is accessing that data, who is uploading some files into it, who is deleting some files from that. So all that information, if you wanted to save, then you can enable logging, and all those logs will be saved into a bucket again, and you have to specifically mention in which bucket these logs should be stored. So we currently have only one bucket, so you can just select that one bucket exactly. Sometimes in real time what happens is there will be so many buckets created, and for various purposes, like finance people, to store all their finance data, one bucket is created. For all the application people, one bucket is created so that all the applications data can be uploaded into that. And for all the backup people, one more bucket is created so that they take the backup of entire data available and keep it, the entire data, into this particular bucket. So it's like that respectively. In an organization, when people are working for various team and various purposes, the buckets are created for various reasons. So when you have so many things, in that case, sometimes it is also a possibility that they create another bucket for especially for logging. So logs, the bucket is entirely created for logs. It's not only for S3 logging, about S3 details, but it is also any other thing, any logging. It's like your EC2 logging, like who and all are accessing your EC2 servers and all. Anything you wanted to have a log, and having an option of uh, creating log for the access, or any purpose, anything. Those logs will always be stored in S3 bucket only, irrespective of whether it is the logs of S3 bucket or logs of other service. They always store in an S3 bucket. So here we provide, in that situation, we can separately create a bucket, and then especially for logging, and then redirect all the logs to that. But I don't want it, because even those logs also consume space, and cloud is all about consuming space. How much ever the space you utilize, for so much of space you have to pay. So since it's just for uh, understanding purpose, so I just wanted you to aware of these things. So I'm not enabling any logging, because I have nothing to access or something and all. I don't want it to track anything, so not enabling. But in organization, or in real time, we do enable logging, and then redirect all the logs to a special bucket. And events, you know, this is what. So how do you get the things? Of course, a log is created, but the data is very crucial and no one should delete that. If somebody unfortunately delete some data from that, okay, it's really critical for you. In such situations, if you get a notification onto your mobile, like as a text or an email, dropped to you saying that so and so data is deleted from so and so bucket by so and so person and something like that. So what do? You can directly log into that and then check if you can recover it by any chance, something like that. So how do you get that notification? So for that, we have to create events. So how do you create events? Events can be of two different types, like send to SNS topic or SQSQ, which means it's not only sending a notification to somebody. If so many people are accessing your data which is uploaded into bucket, your S3 bucket, in that situation, if you wanted to address all the requests hitting to your data uploaded into S3 bucket, okay, then you can just ask SQS service to hold on all the load and address every single request without pay. So you can also do that. Okay, so event notifications enable you to send alerts or trigger workflow. Notifications can be sent via Amazon Simple Notification Service SNS or Simple Queue Service or to Lambda function depending on the bucket location. So here the bucket location also can be considered. Who is that joining? Yeah, who and all are missing today? Anu is missing. Usman is missing. Prashant, is he there? Yeah, Prashant is here. Sai, do you have any problem? You seems like you're going offline and then coming back.
Yeah, sir. I don't know. Actually, my screen is stucking. Like it's being only at one place. Like when you saw first time the static web, it was only there. It's not moving again.
But you're getting my voice, right?
Yeah, I'm getting your voice.
So
Yeah,
not
that's what I'm
not to
getting.
worry. I'm not
Yeah.
changing anything because I'm just letting you know what's happening actually. Hi Anu.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's continue. So that's all about events. It's quite simple. You just wanted something to be notified to you what's happening in your bucket, who is doing, what activities are going and performed by whom and all. If you wanted to know, you can just go create events and those events send it to you a notification or SQS like that. We will discuss about these three: versioning, lifecycle, prostitution, replication. Once all are done, all the other tabs are done. Parameters are done. Let's go to tagging. So apart from, there may be a question asked, what and all the services you can tag in the AWS? Of course, you can tag any service, anything, you wanted. Tagging, why do we tag actually? What is the purpose of tagging? It is needed for us to understand specifically what for these things are created. Is there any purpose for that? To differentiate between many. Okay, for example, you have n number of buckets created. Of course, we can just give a name. With that naming convention, we can understand what for that bucket is created. But if you wanted few more, taggings to be done, few more differentiation to be provided to that. What is the purpose of creating that bucket? What type of data is in that, in there? And you wanted anything like what is its ID? or who is authorized to access the data and all and all. If you wanted to tag, you can additionally tag that. Okay, so here you can just add more tags, then go for that. But that here, especially about tagging S3 bucket, additionally will charge you a little more. So that's what here you can see cost allocation tagging in Amazon S3 developer guide. So we're not going to tag anything, but understand, if you wanted to differentiate these buckets by more taggings, you can just do that. Then requesters pay. This is important, like important, rather I say interesting. You see, now you all have joined into this course of Amazon AWS by paying so much amount of the fee. And we are recording these sessions, of course, and I'm sharing with you guys over Google Drive. Alright, rather I can also upload my videos into this S3 bucket, creating an S3 bucket and upload all the videos into it. Of course, you just get the permissions. I mean, I'll provide the permissions to you access, or if I just make it public, everybody else can access that. Now, what if you people have joined into the course by paying so much amount of fee and understanding this, but to the rest, nobody have paid. But I am paying from my end for this storage purpose since I am utilizing S3 storage service. Alright, so it's not free for me. And why should I provide all the videos? I'm just taking that example. If not that, any other thing, you have some data which is very much important, and many people wanted to access that. Why do you provide freely for them? Because you are charged for the storage utilized by you in this S3 by Amazon people. Why should you provide something for free out there if you do not have any revenue generated towards that? So in that situation, okay, if you think somebody should pay for what they are accessing or downloading from your S3 bucket, the data from your S3 bucket, okay, you can just enable this request as pay. So it will make sure that they pay some amount based on what you allocate, rather you pay for this storage to the AWS people. Okay, so they are asked to pay something to download or access the data, and once they pay, they will get the access and able to see something. Like that's what happens, right? Even in if you take e-commerce site, anything you wanted to buy, of course you'll be able to see. what you wanted to purchase, you have to pay. Apart from that, any other, you just search for some videos or some courses online or some textbooks online, they ask for you to pay something for registering. Then they will provide you the access to all the content they have. So that is what these requesters pay. So rather you pay for the storage utilized by you to the Amazon AWS, you ask the other people to pay so that you can run your show without paying anything. That's what. So enabling requester pays on this bucket causes the requesters instead of the bucket owner to pay for the charges of request and data transfer. While requester pays is enabled, anonymous access to this bucket is disabled, which means people, nobody cannot be, I mean, like all the people cannot access to this because they have to register themselves by paying some amount. So that's what requesters pay. Then transfer acceleration, which is recently introduced. Okay, it wasn't there earlier, but recently introduced into Amazon S3. See what it is. Enabling Amazon S3 transfer acceleration on this bucket will provide you with a new endpoint that you can use in your applications for fast transfer, data transfer from and to Amazon S3. Unlike data transfers using regional and global Amazon S3 endpoint, data transfer using an Amazon S3 transfer acceleration endpoint will incur the additional fee. You got it? The transfer acceleration is nothing but the name itself. Okay, the name of that particular option itself will make us understand transfer acceleration. Acceleration is nothing but what? It makes transfer of data either upload or download into the Amazon bucket or from the Amazon bucket. The transfer of data will become faster than usual. That is what transfer acceleration. Acceleration is nothing but, in detail, it is 8th class physics. Okay, in India, 7th or 8th standard physics generally. So it is just like, making faster. We general, it's in a real time. You just drive a vehicle, press the accelerator, which means you are making yourself go faster. The same thing happens here. Transfer acceleration is nothing but whenever you wanted to upload something into the S3 bucket or download from that S3 bucket, to make it faster, you can just enable this. But as it is mentioned, even transfer acceleration also charges additionally. Okay, so want to compare your data transfer speed by region, that you can just test here. What is the speed by this? So that's about transfer acceleration. Are you guys getting the points? Yes or no? Yeah, good. Is there any doubt,
Okay.
anything you want me to discuss again? Or I can go to versioning. So these are the only three
Have
left.
you
Yeah?
explained about life cycle?
No. Life cycle, versioning, cross-region replication, these are the three things we need to discuss. These are really
Okay.
important, so that I have skipped these three for, like, time being. Now I'm going to start discussing about these
Okay.
three. Web hosting,
Okay.
you want me to, web hosting, Chandra, you want me to discuss that web hosting? It's simply like, you wanted to convert this S3 bucket as a website. Okay, just like a website. Rather, you go create a server instance and install web server onto that, like Apache, HTTP. The other day we have done in EC2 section. Then load everything, all the web pages into that. Instead of that, you can just turn your S3 bucket as a website by enabling this static web hosting. That's what. So when you enable, it will just act like a website. The S3 bucket act like a website, so that all the requests, accessed by, hitting to your data access will be routed to your bucket individually. That makes sense? Yes. Okay. So now, what do I do is, before we start understanding versioning, I just wanted to create a temporary file, a text document that, something like, I just wanted to write some data. Okay, so this is what I've just written, something randomly because I wanted to do. Okay, I've saved it. Now I'll just go upload the file into that. Okay, it's not only understanding about all these parameters, but also we need to understand about few more things. We will discuss that. Now, how do we upload files into a bucket? First, we need to go into that bucket by clicking on that. Okay, then you see the parameters, the tabs above will be automatically changed. Initially, it's about create a bucket and actions to be performed on the bucket. But when you go into that, upload, create a folder, actions. So that you can also create a folder by right clicking on anywhere, somewhere here in this space, or you can create a folder here directly. Or you can directly upload folders together. Okay, this one is having some network issues. Since right. Now what I'll do, upload, okay, then add files. Either you can directly drag and drop here, or you can just directly upload things. What is that we wanted to upload? Test.txt. Okay, let's go with this. Okay, it's about 47 bytes. Then start upload. Waiting, starting, done. That's all. It's uploaded. Okay. Now you see, are you able to see like it's 47 bytes? Now, for example, you have a file. Okay. You that file is, I mean, like you are working on that file. It's nothing but the file is nothing but you are working on something, and that something's data is stored on a file, a particular file. Every day you go to the office, you work on that to change, you edit, do something with that. The sometimes it may increase the space, the the size of the file. Sometimes it may decrease. So whatever it is, when you just do some changes, okay, and those changes when you wanted to access over internet again, you have to upload the same file again and again and again every time whenever you change that file. Sometimes, for example, okay, for example, you are writing a code, okay, and like yesterday you worked on that, you have edited, fine, and you still have not completed to get your required output. Today you have come and have done some changes to that code. Okay, yesterday it was working for some extent, and uh, today you are again, you worked on that, but due to some issues, okay, maybe some syntax error, or maybe something, you have given or executed something mistakenly, or whatever it is, due to some various reasons, your today's, after editing today, okay, your code is not functioning properly. So what do you do when your code is not functioning properly? In that situation, you have to get back the previous days. Like yesterday it was working fine, but today due to some syntax error, some problem, it's not working fine. So what do? You cannot delete your file, but you already have changed it. Okay, you already have changed it, and you don't have yesterday's file. To go back to yesterday's file, okay, if there is any, option provided to you that every day's data uploaded into your file, okay, let me just show you something here. 47 bytes. Okay, I just come and edit this again and something like that. Okay, I'll delete this line, save, and upload it again, n number of times. Okay, n number of times you upload that file, it will be the same. The file seems to be only one, and you'll always have the file with the latest version. So it was earlier 46 bytes and now also 46 bytes. Okay, what is this? An embedded page. Fine. Of course, it's 46 bytes, but you have the latest data up, of that particular file. So to get back older file, how do you do that? So we have an option here to get back older files like yesterday's or day before yesterday's or previous things, anything you wanted to get back. Since your today's file is not properly working or it has got corrupted, what do? You have an option of, okay, versioning. So due to, like by selecting versioning, okay, you can just upload a file any number of times, and n number of times you upload that file, n number of versions of that same file will be created. When those versions are created, okay, if today's version is not properly working fine, you delete that, then automatically yesterday's version will be a latest version, so you will be able to read your yesterday's file. You now you're fine, you're safe, isn't it? It's not only that you get back your older versions whenever you wanted, but fortunately or unfortunately, if your file is deleted, okay, if your file is deleted, how do you get back that file? How do you retrieve that file, restore that file back? So that is also possible by this versioning enabled. Okay, let's go and understand how it works out. So you see here, you check versioning allows you to preserve, retrieve and restore every version of every object stored in this bucket. This provides an additional level of protection by providing a means of recovery for accidental overwrites or expirations. Versioning enabled buckets store all versions of your data by default. N number of times you upload, n number of versions are stored about that particular file. Okay, and you see, you can use lifecycle rules to manage all versions of your objects as well as their associated costs. Lifecycle rules enable you to automatically archive your objects. Okay, that we will see in the lifecycle rules we will see. Okay, but the other point which we have to remember, once versioning is enabled, okay, you cannot disable that versioning of that particular bucket. Okay, that's what is mentioned, you see. Once enabled, versioning cannot be disabled, only suspended. Let's see. Okay, yes, okay for us. Now versioning is enabled. Now, once after this it is enabled, you'll only find a button suspend versioning but not disable versioning. What if you wanted to disable versioning? The only option is you delete that bucket, uploading all the files into that bucket into some other bucket, from that bucket to the some other bucket. So that is the only possibility. You take the backup of all the data from that bucket and delete it. You wanted to disable the version of a bucket. So you have to be very clear when you wanted to enable versioning, whether it is needed for you or not. Why I'm talking about this is, okay, we cannot delete. It's because, for example, you see, okay, we will understand that. I'll make you understand. Now, what do? I'll just go into the bucket. Earlier, we had only these three buttons here: upload, create folder and actions. Now once after versioning is enabled, you have another option, versions, either hide or show. Okay, you wanted to check the versions, then ask for these versions to show, so automatically that particular file's versions are listed. So for this particular file, test.txt, okay, it is created on so and so date, the particular file, and what is the storage class, we will understand. This is what I said, like not only about all these parameters, but we have to understand few more things that we will be we will be understanding sooner. So don't worry, I'll explain what and all the storage, different storage classes we have. But you see version ID null, and the size of that bucket is 46 bytes. Why do we have version ID null here? Because the version ID is provided to the files only after your files are uploaded after versioning is enabled. Once versioning is enabled, then you upload file for any number of times. For each upload, you will have a version ID created, and the size, the storage class is mentioned with respect to when did it uploaded into the bucket. It's nothing but the timestamp will also be mentioned to that. And all the time, okay, whether it is versioning enabled or not, all the time, any number of files, any number of times you upload a file, the latest version or the latest copy of that particular file or the latest upload will be, accessible by the people. So now let's go do some changes to this and upload. Okay, something I'm just writing randomly. I'm not very good at typing, so I'm saving it. Now obviously the file size would be increased, or just write something. Mm, Auto washing is enabled. Okay, that's what I just wanted to write. Save, and I'll upload this file again into this. So how do I do? Go to upload. Okay, add file. Select the, now what's its size? 97 bytes, because we have edited that file. Yes. Can you observe now the versions of the file? There are two different versions of this file. Now one is uploaded prior to versioning is enabled, and the other one is uploaded after versioning is enabled. The one which is uploaded after versioning is enabled has a version ID created to it, but the one which is not, which is uploaded prior to that, has no version ID created to that. Okay, and what is read by people? The people will always read the latest file or latest upload. So this is what is visible to you when you hide it. You see, when you hide, you'll only see file that is with 97 bytes. So only this latest version only be read by people all the time. You clear with that? Makes sense with what's versioning and what purpose it is used for?
Sir,
Yeah.
sir,
Yes.
if you want to read what is in the file, we should like if we save this file. If you want to read this file, then we can only read in the Linux, sir.
No. It's not in Linux. It's not in. You don't need any server for this.
No. I'm not. If I want to read the file, like
Okay.
I want to know someone
What data
for
is in?
example, you did this file. You did this file, and I want to read that file. So from where I can read it?
Yeah, I have not discussed that with you. We will be discussing about that under the properties of a particular file uploaded into it. Okay, you wanted to access this file from your end. Okay, you need to have this link. Every object uploaded or every file uploaded into your S3 bucket will be provided by a link. That link will be provided to somebody or your customers or your employees to access that particular object. So I'll give it to you, check whether you will be able to access it or not. Okay, but before you access, one small question from my end. Will you be able to access that? Check once.
No, sir, because we didn't create any pages.
We didn't. We didn't create. Just click on that link and see what are you getting.
This XML file does not appear to have any style information associated with it. The
Yeah,
document try is shown below.
it's because like how a bucket once created is by default private, and you should make it public or provide access to people. Similarly, any file uploaded into your bucket or any object uploaded into your S3 bucket will also be private by default. You remember, like while we were discussing about auto scaling, we made all of our HTML pages uploaded into our S3 bucket made public to access. So same thing needs to be done even here also. What do? I'll just provide the permissions to everybody, which is nothing but making it public by providing access to everybody, like open or download. But I don't want it to, give the permissions to check view permissions, who and all can see what and all the permissions given, and edit permissions. I don't want it to keep these two options. If I give these two options, people will be able to know who and all can see and all. And if I just give permissions, edit permissions, then they can edit permission and they can remove me from that. So for that various purposes, I don't select these two options, but only one thing: open, upload, or download. So when I say save, now you click on that link, you'll get this. You getting?
We got it, sir. Yeah.
That's what. So whenever you wanted to access, you need to have that link. The moment you click on that, you'll get that like this. So that is what the storage thing is. So always you need to provide the permissions every time. Like now you come. I mean, like today you come to the office, do some changes to this file, upload it again. Then again it will become private. So to access that, you need to make it public again. That's what the point is. Anytime you upload, you should make private public, because it is by default private. You will not have any access to anybody. And you see the details of this, in which bucket it is created. The bucket name is listed, I mean, like mentioned on top. The name of the file, link to access that particular file, size of the file, last modified, owner, who is the owner, the root person, okay, by which your AWS account is created. The next is et tag, so some tag which is provided to that by default. Expiry date, none, we have not mentioned anything anywhere. And rule, no rules are attached to that, so nothing else. The main thing which
Sir,
you have to
so
focus is, yeah, yes, I
the versions also automatically hidden or no?
not automatically. You can just check that. You wanted to hide, you can hide. You wanted to see, you can see.
No, sir. The version of the file, like you said, every file we upload into the S3 bucket will be hidden automatically by default. So the versions also hidden, sir?
Not, I'm not hidden, I'm saying private.
Yeah, private. It's okay, private.
Private, do not get the access. So what do you mean by version? The version is nothing but,
I mean,
a particular file, a particular day's files particular day. Want to make it public, we want to access private. What is that? So the versions, you see, Sai, version is nothing but, end of the day, it is just the information about the file you upload. Version is what? The older file or newer file. Today's or yesterday's or day before yesterday's. It's kind of backup of the same file of different, versions. So when a file is uploaded, its new version is created into this S3 bucket, but those versions also, when file itself is private, versions of that file will be by default private. Okay,
okay, sir.
and
Thank
you
you, sir.
cannot
Yeah.
access these versions directly. If you wanted, for example, we have two versions of this file, this test.txt file, but when you click on that link which I have provided to you, you will automatically get the latest copy of that. What happens when you wanted to access this file, the previous version of that? Okay, now I have selected the previous version. Just click on that and check, is there any difference in between this and that? No, always a
No, it's the
latest
latest version.
copy is read by this. So when you wanted its previous version to be read by you or to access by you, wanted to access the previous one, then what do you do? The current version should be deleted by you. You delete the current version, then automatically the previous version will become the latest. Then here, when you delete the version, you're not doing any change with the file, you're not uploading the file, so you need not to provide any permission again. And whatever the permissions it is having by default will be there with the older version also, because you're playing with the versions but not with the file. But when you play with the file, like upload or download or delete something, everything will affect all the versions and to the file by default. Clear with that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that's what. Then okay, let's finish these properties. Now metadata. What's metadata? We've also seen metadata of our instance. Remember,
What's everything in the bucket?
metadata is nothing but the configurational information of
Configuration.
that particular uh, uh, data. Or even it was about, when we discussed about instance, it was like the configurational stuff of the instance, like what was its RAM, what was its how many CPUs it is having, and all that stuff. Its public IP, private IP, and all. And here it is the type of that file, what type of the file it is, and all. So the configurational information about anything is known as its metadata. So that is what is mentioned here. Metadata is a set of name value pair. Metadata for versioned objects cannot be modified. If you do not have versions created, versions enabled, you will have an option. Okay, you'll have an option to add some more information to that. You just check that before you enable versioning. You try checking its metadata, any object metadata. You'll find some other option underneath of this. Here somewhere you'll find that. Okay, clear? That's about metadata. And details, permissions, we have checked. If you wanted to provide the access to this particular object, then you go edit the permissions, then people will get the permission. What way you can set the permissions? You can either make it public, or if you wanted to provide the access to somebody specifically, Then you just mention any authenticated AWS user, or for log delivery, if you wanted, to provide an access to deliver logs, then you can just go for that log delivery, so that only for that, while uploading the logs or creating the logs, it will get the permissions. It will, based on the permissions, it will go save the logs and all. And me, what do you mean by me? I'll explain. And this is the owner. Okay, so owner is nothing but by which email ID I have created my account. And me is nothing but, to make you understand what's me, if you can just check here, can you identify IAM user Mohan? I have just logged into my own account, okay, as a user, not as an admin, root. That you will understand what an IAM user is, why I have logged into it as an okay, IAM user and all, after once we discuss about IAM topic. Okay, so not to worry, we will discuss all that in the IAM section. Clear? Now let's go play with the versions. Okay, before that, let's see these details tab. So here in this details, storage class, okay, you cannot play with the storage classes either once versioning is enabled. Okay, we will see that in the end. Now what is that? We'll go to the bucket once. Now what I'll say, I'll just edit this file again. Something randomly I wanted to just mention. Then save, upload that file again. Okay, so you see, as I said, every time you upload the file, it will become private by default. Okay, so what do you do every time you upload? You just select that file, go to its properties, edit its permissions. So that really takes a lot of time, right? If you wanted to change the permissions or to provide the access to somebody while you upload the file directly, you can still do that. How? See here. Now I'm uploading a file, that test.txt. Again, it's of 125 bytes now. Okay. Rather I go, okay, upload and then go to its properties, change its permissions and all. I will do it directly here. How? See here. Start upload, but before start uploading, set details. In this set details, you can just, okay, we will understand the storage classes later. Then set permissions. Here, make everything public. When you say make everything public, it is nothing but add more permissions and say everyone. It's not only that you just select everyone, but you also have to check this box. Okay, instead of go to add more permissions, select everyone, and open or download, select this. If you do not select this, the file will not be able to accessed by people. So you must have to check this. So instead of you do everything like that, you just click on this, make everything public, then start upload, starting, wait, right, like that. Okay, it will be by defaultly public now. You need not to especially go to that file and to the properties and make it public, need not. You just check the permissions, you see it is having the permissions directly. So that is what. And now if you check, I'll go to none, to check its versions. Okay, there will be 3 versions, and 2 will have a certain version ID created. One is null because that is uploaded prior to versioning is enabled. Now what if this file is deleted? Okay, I said versioning is pretty much helpful for retrieving the data if fortunately or unfortunately a file is deleted. But how do you retrieve it back? Okay, For that, I'll show you something. All the time, for that but before that you understand, every time the file will be read by people with its latest version. So remember that. Now I'll hide this, okay, and delete this file purposefully. Let's see how can we retrieve it back. Yes, okay, not a problem. Delete. Then we have deleted this file. Now there is no files. There are no files. It's empty. But though the file got deleted, okay, you will have its versions available in the S3 bucket. So how do you do that? Go for show versions, and if you check in this, okay, I'll just go refresh this. I'll go into the bucket, then show, and see here you will have another version created, a new version created for that particular file. Okay, it has the version ID, but there is no size and no storage class mentioned to that latest version. But and if you just look into the timestamp of that particular version, it has delete marker in the brackets parenthesis. So what does this means? Which means the file understand, okay, the file the S3 bucket understand that this file got deleted by looking into its latest version. Once versioning is enabled, the S3 bucket understand whether the file is deleted or it is available to access by people in that. So that's possible by its latest version. The moment S3 bucket check delete marker in the versions, it will consider that this file is not existing. Okay, when you hide, it looks like the bucket is empty, but when you show, it's because why the bucket is empty, why it is not able to read this file, because there is a version created for that particular file stating delete marker in the timestamp in the brackets. So with that delete marker, it will understand that this file got deleted. You clear with that? Yes?
So that is the file what we deleted, sir.
Yeah, what we have deleted.
Okay.
For that particular file,
So
txt only, the delete marker is created. So how do we retrieve it back? To retrieve this particular file back, you only have to delete the delete marker again. What happens when you go delete that delete marker? Okay, the latest version will become this. So the file will be accessed by people with this version. Now let's go back to the buckets. Earlier it was empty when versions were hidden. Now let's see, when versions were hidden, you just have your file back with 125 bytes, the latest version. You clear with that?
yes, sir.
Yes, fine. So that is the point. So how can you retrieve your file back once it is deleted and when versioning is enabled?
Deleting the delete my file.
Delete marker. So whenever your file
Marker.
got deleted, automatically another version is created about that particular file stating delete marker in the brackets. So to get that file back, you have to delete that particular version which has delete marker in the brackets in its timestamp, so that the latest version available will be read. Now imagine I said, okay, today you came and edited that file, and unfortunately by something the file got corrupted. You're not getting access to that. You're not able to access that file. So how do you do that? You just go to versions again, okay, delete that version which is corrupted, okay, so you'll get the older version back. Okay, you'll get the older version with 97 bytes because we have deleted the latest version. It's because you still have the file's latest copy with you. Alright, you wanted to just do some changes again, then upload it again. That is the funda. That is how the versioning is useful for us. Either you wanted to access its previous versions or the file got deleted and you wanted to retrieve it back. The versioning is enabled. You all got clear with these things? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Fine. So, one more thing I wanted to talk about versioning. Of course, it's fine. It's fully useful for us once versioning is created. We are safe with our data even if it is accidentally deleted or corrupted, so that we can go back to access our previous version of the same file or object. But the challenge in here is, okay, we are always charged for the amount of space utilized by us. Alright? What if your file is somewhere about 500 gigabytes yesterday? Today you have come and did some changes, you and your team together, and it has increased for another 50 or 100 gigabytes. Let's say it has now became 600 gigabytes of file. Okay, you upload it into it. You will be able to access your file with the latest version that will be having 600 gigabytes only. But in terms of S3 space consumption, it will understand that the file yesterday's version 500 gigabytes and today's version 600 gigabytes, cumulatively it will understand that the size of this file is 1100 gigabytes size. Okay, when it is considered as 1100 gigabytes size of that particular file, you have only you have only a file of 600, but it is considering it is as 1100 gigabytes. So you are charged additionally for that. Does that make sense? So if you are not worried about your budget paying towards your space consumption, and if you are worried about your files that they are very critical and you wanted to have all the versions of that, then you can of course go enable your versioning. But if you also consider about your budget, then the versioning is not suggested for the files which have huge space occupied. Are you clear with this point? Yes. So when a file is very huge and it is getting updated every day, and if you are concerned about your budget, then better not to go with versioning for that particular file. And you cannot directly enable versioning for one individual file, so better you create another bucket and upload these kind of huge files into that bucket. So that is what is done in the real time. Huge files uploaded into one bucket and normal small files uploaded into one bucket. Okay, I mean versioning is enabled. You wanted versioning the critical data, for that you create another bucket and upload all the files into that because that is critical for you. So this is how it works in real time. That is the reason why we will have various buckets created and various purposes. That's what I mean to say. Yes, so we are done with versioning. Let's go and check what and all the other parameters. Now two more things we need to discuss. After that we'll see what and all we have to see. So versioning is done. let's go to life cycle. Life cycle will discuss cross region replication. Okay, let's go discuss cross region. Okay, life cycle only we will see.
You said we will discuss later about the standard.
Storage classes. Those are storage classes, different type of storage classes. That we will see later. I'll discuss those things tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah.
Now what do we do? I have a class scheduled at 8 o'clock. So another 10 minutes time I've got with me. Within that 10 minutes time, we'll see life cycle management. So what do you mean by life cycle? First point, before we understand, before we just check that, let's try to understand life cycle. Life cycle means, in your understanding about this word, can you just tell me what it is? Whatever you understand, you just try to, come up with the meaning of this life cycle word. Anybody? Continuous cycle, okay. Any other meanings? Time period, fine. Any other? Any more? Changes regarding time, that's good, that's fantastic. Changes regarding time, yeah, we're getting closer to that. Anything else? Are there only three guys available for me? What about the rest?
How things goes, like in an infrastructure according to the time period.
Okay, okay. Is that Anu which spoke just now?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, fine. What about the rest? Um, Fine. Let me discuss that. Before I go, say something. I'll just show you this. If we read, you can manage the life cycle of objects by using life cycle rules. Life cycle of the object. So life cycle means, okay, how long this data should be alive or in the bucket. Okay, lifespan. Life cycle is nothing but its lifespan. The data's lifespan. For how many days the data should be in the bucket. But why do we have this time period? Okay, somebody said time period. So how many? Why do we have a particular time period for that? How long our data should be in the bucket? Because the S3 is always a storage and the charges for the space consumed by our data. But you see, when you work on data, it's like, based on the projects you support. For example, you are supporting to a project and that project is completed and it is no longer useful for you and the data is no longer needed to you. For that particular project, why do you need to have the data uploaded into your S3 bucket and unnecessarily pay for that when it is no longer needed for you? Isn't it? Because here you always charged for the amount of space you consumed over the period of time, a particular time. Maybe the charges will be applicable for for 1 gigabyte of space for 1 month time. It is for it is so many rupees or so many dollars. Like that, it is charged for you. It is not for lifetime. Once you pay and then you just upload your data and save your data for lifetime. It's not like that. For certain period of time, it is charged, and that too for certain amount of data you upload. So you need to delete, but there will be so much of stuff in the bucket. Out of all that stuff, you wanted to delete particularly few files, okay, only few files particularly, or only about a particular project data. So how is that possible? You go to that bucket and you just check all the files whether this file is needed or not, okay, about all the files you check individually and then go delete. If you wanted to do that, you have to hire another person, another employee for deleting all the files individually, logging into AWS Management Console and going into S3 bucket, then check every data it is available, needed or not. Alright. And for that particular person, we need to provide what data is available, is necessary, what's not necessary and all. Because it takes so much of time if you wanted to go and delete individually everything, or you wanted to turn from one storage class to another storage class. Don't worry about different storage classes, I'll discuss. Okay, so all that is mechanically or directly done by this life cycle. So you just set a particular rule for this life cycle, so it will change the storage class from one class to another class, or it will directly delete the particular files you selected in this. So that's what is lifecycle. You can manage lifecycle of objects by using lifecycle rules. Lifecycle rules enable you to automatically transition objects to the standard infrequent access. So this is one storage class. There are three different type of storage classes available. Standard infrequent access, reduced redundancy. Okay, don't worry, I will discuss all these things again. Reduced redundancy, in a short we'll say RRS, reduced redundancy storage. Then apart from that we have glacier, that is another type of storage, glacier. So these are the four different type of storage classes we have. So you can just mention that the change of storage class can also be possible by lifecycle rules. So after over the period of time, you wanted your data storage classes to be changed because different storage class has different charges. The highest one is standard storage class. Okay, so that's what I wanted to discuss about storage classes, but I'll do that later or maybe tomorrow. Is that fine? So that is possible here. And our archive, either you can just change it into standard infrequent access storage class and or archive objects to the glacier directly. So storage class, glacier storage class, and or remove objects after a specified time period. Rules are applied to all the objects that are shared a specified prefix. So you can just select files with a certain prefix. So that prefix files will be deleted or will be changed its storage class from one to another. But for this, versioning currently enabled, but it is not compulsory whether versioning is enabled or not. You can still manage your show. It's not compulsory that versioning is enabled for this. Okay, so that is the point. This includes both the current version and previous versions. But there is a little change about changing storage class when versioning is enabled and when versioning is not enabled. So for now, just have an idea about what life cycle is. Okay, I will practically show you how it is made to change. For that, we have to go create a rule, add a rule. When you just click on that, it will allow you to create a new rule. By creating rules, we will go instruct or make the changes to the data. So have an understanding for now. We'll see practically and we'll complete S3 tomorrow totally. Is it clear to you guys?
Yes, sir.
Anything you wanted to clarify? Fine. Any doubts? I'm open to you. If not, we will be meeting day after tomorrow. Tomorrow it's Sunday, so we don't have class. And yeah, I'm not pretty much sure whether I'm available on Monday or not. I will text you over WhatsApp. My WhatsApp is working now, so I'll text you over WhatsApp and let you know, guys, whether we have class on Monday or not, because I'm not in the station. If I come back again well in advance, then we'll have a class at our regular scheduled time. If not, from Tuesday we'll have regular classes. Is that fine? And from now on we'll have our classes at 6:30 every day, 6:30 a.m. IST. Is that fine for everybody? Fine. So about Monday, I'll let you know about rest. If not Monday, from Tuesday we'll have regular classes. Okay, then everything seems to be fine. What I wanted you to do is, you please create a bucket, upload some files into it, try accessing them over internet with respect to that link. Okay, make them public or make them, you need to, when you wanted to access over internet, you must need to make it public. Then only you'll be able to access, because you're not, with respect to other authenticated AWS users and all, they need to have the permissions to log into your management console and all. So just check by making it public. And I wanted you to send those screens to me, creating bucket and versioning, playing with versions, making it public, okay, accessing the files over internet with respect to that link. So all that I wanted you to, practice and share with me. So one more thing, I'll just discuss a little thing. What is that? Properties, the link, the naming convention. So always the link is the combination of S3, HTTP S3, the region name, AP Southeast 2, Amazon AWS.com, and my the bucket name and the file name. So this is what the naming convention. It's not very important that you have to remember, but just to understand how the link is created, what is that link is all about. It's nothing but the path of your file where it is, with HTTP in that, in the beginning. So fine, guys. See you then. Catch you either on Monday, if not, come Tuesday.